Please like, share, and subscribe. Echoes untold the Grand Canyon collision. A tragedy that changed the skies forever. It was a clear morning on June 30, 1956. At Los Angeles International Airport, passengers eagerly boarded Trans-World Airlines, TWA, Flight 800. Many were families embarking on summer vacations, while others were business travelers heading to New York City. At nearly the same time, passengers were settling into their seats aboard United Airlines Flight 718, a Douglas District of Columbia 7 bound for Chicago. These flights were routine, their destinations far apart, but fate would intertwine them in the skies over the American Southwest, leading to one of the deadliest and most transformative moments in aviation history. At the time, air travel was booming. The post-war economic surge had made flying more accessible to the public, and Americans were embracing it as the future of transportation. Yet, this rapid growth outpaced the systems meant to ensure its safety. Radar coverage was sparse, and pilots depended heavily on visual flight rules, VFR, often operating in uncontrolled airspace with limited oversight. Few could have imagined how devastatingly fragile this system was until that fateful summer day. Collision in the clouds. By mid-morning, both planes were flying at 21,000 feet over the stunning Grand Canyon region, an area known for its breathtaking vistas and treacherous terrain. The passengers aboard likely had no inkling of the danger unfolding in the cockpit. The pilots, navigating through a mixture of instrument and visual rules, were responsible for maintaining their own separation, a daunting task with limited visibility. At 10:30 a.m., tragedy struck. In the blink of an eye, the two aircraft collided at cruising speed, the impact catastrophic. Witnesses on the ground described hearing a thunderous roar followed by plumes of smoke rising from the canyon. Debris rained down over the rugged cliffs and valleys, and all 128 passengers and crew aboard both flights perished instantly. It was the deadliest aviation disaster in history at the time. The collision was more than a horrific accident, it was a wake-up call. It exposed a systemic failure, an industry rushing to expand without the infrastructure to keep pace. And while the loss of life was staggering, the true tragedy would have been failing to act. The aftermath. A nation confronts its vulnerabilities. Recovery teams faced nearly insurmountable challenges in accessing the crash site. The wreckage was scattered across the Grand Canyon's steep cliffs, baking under the summer sun. The grim task of recovering remains and investigating the crash stretched on for weeks. For the families of the victims, the heartbreak was compounded by unanswered questions. How could such a catastrophe occur in the age of modern aviation? The Civil Aeronautics Board, CAB, launched an exhaustive investigation. Piecing together the evidence, they determined that both pilots had been granted clearance to operate on instrument flight rules but had strayed into uncontrolled airspace to navigate around weather. The visual separation they were relying on failed, leading to a collision that neither crew saw coming. But this was not just human error, it was a systemic failure. The skies were increasingly crowded, yet the systems in place to manage them were woefully inadequate. Public outrage followed, and the crash became a rallying cry for change. From tragedy to transformation, this disaster, devastating as it was, became the catalyst for a revolution in aviation safety. In the aftermath, Congress established the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, in 1958 to centralize and modernize air traffic control. The crash spurred advancements in radar technology, mandatory airspace management, and the eventual development of onboard collision avoidance systems. These changes didn't just improve aviation safety, they reshaped it entirely. The reforms demanded by a grieving public and forward-thinking policymakers created the foundation for the aviation systems we trust today. Consider this. Millions of flights now crisscross the skies annually, with near-flawless safety records. These innovations, born of tragedy, ensure that families, business travelers, and adventurers alike can soar across continents with confidence. A lasting legacy. The Grand Canyon collision remains etched in history not only for the lives it claimed but for the change it forced. It stands as a sobering reminder of what happens when progress outpaces oversight and as proof that out of tragedy can come transformation. Imagine the fear and helplessness of those passengers that day. Their loss is immeasurable, but their legacy lives on in every safe takeoff and landing today. Their sacrifice shaped the very systems that protect us now. Next time you step aboard an airplane, pause for a moment to reflect. The comfort and safety you experience were hard-won through lessons written in pain but resolved with courage. Let their story remind us of the need for vigilance, innovation, and a commitment to never let such a tragedy happen again. Above the Grand Canyon, where the jagged cliffs meet the endless sky, the echoes of that day linger, a poignant tribute to 128 lives lost and the millions saved since. Please like, share, and subscribe Echoes Untold.